Educational environments. We think of many things when we hear this word. Classrooms, tests, assignments, grades, students, teachers. The goal of environments like these are supposed to encourage kids to learn, to feel safe, to give skills for future workplaces and environments, and to socialize with peers. But these same environments can create negative workplaces at the same time. Hello, my name is Lorelei, and I'm your host for Season 1 of today's talk about psychology. Today, we're covering psychology in educational environments. Joining me today is my co-host, Simha.
Hello, my name is Simha, and to start off this episode, we're going to be talking about the mental health of students. Often, the heavy workloads put on students lead to increased burnout and anxiety. A survey conducted by Tower showed that the majority of students struggled with having a mass amount of anxiety and stress due to deadlines and pressure to get good grades. Where does pressure for good grades come from? Parents, the stress of getting into good schools, the stereotypical being successful in life, quote unquote.
And now I will be talking about the extracurriculars factor in the psychology of students in education. When we really break it down, the purpose for extracurriculars is to give children new skills or experiences. And, kids have so much energy, and that energy can often, be put into a sport or an art or a leadership activity, etc. And once children grow older, though, they begin to carry the burden of stressing for building future careers and or getting into college, especially that transition from being an elementary school student to being a middle school student and then to being in high school, having to think about your future a lot more. Extracurriculars can sometimes just become another thing to worry about, especially if it's, forced on by parental figures, because it's not something that the kid chose to do then, and so it becomes more stressful and less of a activity for fun, and that's really what extracurriculars are supposed to be. They're supposed to be fun. And then there's also the stress, like I was kind of mentioning. Keeping up with daily life and having too many extracurriculars can really crash together. And, oftentimes a lot of students also deal with procrastination, and also, they don't have good schedules yet. It's like, how are you supposed to really figure that out completely? And so there's a stress of keeping up with school and getting good grades. So Simha will be continuing with parental pressure.
Yeah, so parental pressure can lead to underperformance in school. Children who face verbal criticism and extreme expectation from parents are very self-critical and self-judgmental. This leads to negative feelings about oneself. A study by Relational Psych shows that 86% of parents only have high expectations because they want their kids to succeed and have higher opportunities than they did when they were kids, but it still leads to these negative effects.
And so I will be kind of concluding this segment with talking about, the mental health of teachers and how it plays in these educational environments and its effects, more on students, and also a little bit of a student voice from me personally on, my opinions on these things. Oftentimes the mental health of teachers can sometimes be low because it's a lot of stress managing a classroom environment and keeping kids entertained. Well, not so entertained. It's more keeping them working and achieving these academic achievements and, keeping up in school. And so that means that the, teacher's mental health also takes a big place in a classroom environment. If a teacher has a positive mindset and a positive attitude, oftentimes, for me personally at least, I find that teachers that are positive create a better classroom environment, and so that I can, learn better. So the teacher's mental health often reflects how things are taught too. And also when teachers have a negative attitude towards these things, I find that it makes it more difficult to learn in environments like these. So, and I personally sometimes feel a lot of pressure from school and keeping up with things. And oftentimes comparison can also take a big part too in comparing how other people are doing compared to how you're doing. So yeah, that has pretty much been our segment on educational psychology. It's very brief, but it kind of covers a lot of things, at least from a high school student perspective, on how mental health really takes place in these environments. So I am your host, Lorelei.
And I'm your co-host, Simha.
I'm your board operator, Gabriel.
I'm your producer, Desmond.
And that concludes our segment. Thank you so much for listening to today's talk, and we hope you tune into our next episode about how to prioritize our mental health and our conclusion on the importance of psychology. From the El Cerrito High School Media Academy, we present this podcast to you from our KECG studios. Thank you again, and we hope you stay great.